It's Wayne Scully here, author of 21 Tax Topics to Stay Compliant and Save Money. In one chapter of my book, I talk about penalty abatement, and something very similar today we're going to discuss, not abating penalties, but actually penalty relief, which by IRS standards usually means they're going to automatically abate the penalties. They're going to relieve you of the stress of those penalties by automatically removing them. I want to talk about this IRS newsroom release that they issued on December 19th, where they talk about this in length or at length, and some other things related to restarting notices. Okay, so basically, again, the IRS is going to provide relief for nearly 5 million tax returns 2020 and 2021 tax years, and they're going to restart collection efforts for those periods as well. And essentially, this is really a result of what happened during the pandemic, during COVID. So I'm going to go through each of these pages. I've highlighted some important things that I think you should know, so you can be better as you move forward, okay, in this process. For those, especially for those people who are impacted by those years or had tax issues in those years, those people definitely need to know what I'm going to say. Yeah. So again, this was issued on December 19th, so only a couple of days ago, maybe like 4 days ago or so, 4 or 5 days ago. And the IRS talks about they're announcing this plan to relieve penalty relief for approximately 4.7 million individuals, businesses, tax-exempt organizations, and so forth. And they're gonna those people were not getting collection notices. Okay. Now, this relief is gonna result in about $1 billion in penalties being removed from accounts. Okay, and it's gonna affect people who make under $400,000. So that's good. That's very good. So it's gonna affect it's gonna impact a wide swath of people throughout the country. So that's a good thing. So the IRS temporarily suspended mailing of the notices that were to remind notices that to pay overdue tax bills starting in February 2022. All right, and then to help people get back to people get back to normal processing. Right, the IRS will kind of ease everyone in by issuing a special reminder, and they're going to start it in January 2024. And so they urge people who are unable to pay to visit their website, irs.gov/payments, to make arrangements to resolve. Now, my thing is, you got to come see me, okay? Because the IRS is really, agents aren't working for you, okay? They're going to try to give you what they think the service wants, okay? Not what you really deserve. And if you qualify for certain programs, you may not be afforded the opportunity to even get those programs because they're not looking at your best interest. They're looking at the service's best interest, okay? So come see me if you have a tax problem like this and you owe, whether it be for 2020 or 2021, any year, in fact, let's talk about it. They estimate that 5 million returns for individuals, businesses, trusts, estates, tax-exempt organizations are eligible for this penalty relief. And it's going to result again in $1 billion in tax savings, an average of $206 per return. Yeah, it's not like a lot of money looking at it from that perspective, but you know, a dollar saved is a dollar earned. That's the way I look at that. So nearly 70% of the individual taxpayers receiving penalty relief have income under 100. Yeah, so really this penalty is going to impact again a good amount of people, because I'm not sure how many people have income under $100,000, but you know, 70% of those people who may have an issue with those tax years will see relief under this penalty, automatic penalty abatement, if you will. The IRS commissioner basically said we're taking other steps to help taxpayers with past due bills, and we have options to help people struggling to pay. All right, so, and this is really, as I said before, is an automatic penalty relief. And so if you're struggling to pay, Yeah, there are options even before this penalty relief situation here, but the penalty relief is gonna help you somewhat, but it won't eliminate your entire debt. So if you already paid the penalties, failed to file penalties and so forth, failed to pay penalties, for those years, you will get a refund check or a credit towards another tax liability that you have with the IRS. It only applies to taxpayers with assessed tax under $100,000. Now, if you have tax debt over $100,000, I can still help you, so definitely reach out to me. But what I want to point out here is that $100,000 assessed is really just the tax itself. It doesn't include the penalties and interest. So if you're over $100,000 in assessed liability, then you most likely won't be allowed to get this penalty relief. Okay. And it notes that $100,000 limit applies to separately to each return separately. Okay, each return, each entity. So if you own multiple entities and there's a tax bill for each one, it's going to apply to each. It's not cumulative. You're going to be able to apply the $100,000 threshold to each of those returns, each of those entities. And if the automatic relief results in a refund or a credit, again, the taxpayer will be able to see that credit in the form of a check, or it'll be applied to another year where you have a tax problem, or another type of tax. But you'll definitely see that by looking at your transcripts. Many of you may know already that you have the ability to log into your IRS.gov account, your online account as an individual, or even as a business now, and you can see a lot of information, including balances and payments. Okay, and in this case, refunds and credits. So the IRS reminds taxpayers that there are a number of payment options online. Yeah, so there are a lot of payment options, ways to pay, by check, money order, credit card, EFT, ACH, you name it. Of course, if you can't pay in any of those ways, you can obviously apply for a payment plan or installment agreement. And I talk about that in my book as well. So yeah, if you have unfiled returns, I definitely encourage you to take care of those right away. You definitely want to address that before you even handle your total debt. But that's something that you want to address. And unfiled returns, make sure you file those returns, get them in, so you can really completely resolve your tax problem. So the next thing about this newsroom announcement that IRS issued is that they'll be sending out collection notices, letters to individuals with tax debts prior to 2022, including for businesses, tax exempt organizations, trusts, estates, you name it. Pretty much the entire gamut. With the exception of those with existing debt in multiple years. So you're gonna be sending out these notices to people just to kind of remind them that yes, you still owe for 2021 and 2022. Okay. And that's why they started with a special reminder letter that's gonna start going out next month, January 2024. So here's what you need to know about possible penalties and interest. So when you owe taxes to the IRS and you don't file in time, you're gonna be charged failure to file penalties. If you don't pay enough, you're gonna be charged failure to pay penalties. Those are two of the most common ones. And the penalty is usually 5% of the taxes owed for each month or part of them, up to 25%. So as you can see, folks, the penalties can get very, very expensive. Okay, so you want to address this ASAP. In the case of the people who have an issue for 2021 and 2020, those people will get an automatic, assuming they meet the requirements, they get an automatic reduction or elimination of those penalties related to those 2 years. So the failure to pay penalty applies if a taxpayer doesn't pay the taxes they report on their tax return by the due date. All right. And then the IRS is required by law to collect interest on a tax balance that's not paid on time. Interest cannot be reduced due to reasonable cause. So, by law, they have to charge interest. Okay. But usually when you get your penalties abated, the penalty interest also gets reduced. So that's how that works. But guys, it was great imparting this knowledge on you. And I want you to encourage you to look out for those credits that you're gonna get if you qualify. And if you don't qualify and you still have an issue with other years or even with those years, maybe we can make a case for a reasonable cause penalty abatement. Maybe we can make a case for first time penalty abatement. So you definitely want to reach out to me to see how I can help you in that regard. Guys, it was great talking to you, and I'll catch you later. Bye.